and everything finally falling into place is doing nothing. Not quitting, pure, radical non-action that mysteriously gets everything done. Ancient Tao masters call it the ultimate power. Act without acting. And harmony rains down naturally. No more burnout battles. In the next 10 minutes, discover how to flip the switch in your chaotic 2026 life and let the flow handle the rest. Your biggest breakthrough might be the one you stop forcing. Let's start the shift now. All right, welcome to chapter 37 of the Tao Te Ching. This is the John Minford version. The Tao is true non-action, whereby all is accomplished when nobles and kings cleave to the Tao. The myriad things are transformed of their own accord, but if they still crave action, I strengthen them with the nameless, with the uncarved block, with no desire, with calm, then all under heaven settles of its own accord. As with our traditional monologue here, I will also be reading the River Master's commentary on this particular chapter from, again, the John Minford version of the Tao Te Ching. If the myriad things are still subject to desire, if they exhibit cunning and hypocrisy, the ruler must strengthen them in their aspirations, must buttress them by means of the Tao and the power. Then they will be freed of desire and will be utterly transformed through clarity and calm. Hey, again, welcome to the channel here. This idea of being transformed by the Tao, it is, well, I have some anecdotal evidence of this. Over the last, so let's see, I started this series right at the end of 2025. I think it was New Year's Eve or the day before New Year's Eve. I started recording my first round of videos. And I would say at that particular moment, I was just inspired to finally do this. It was something I had wanted to do for a long time, was to do YouTube and to put together, teaching, kind of anecdotal teachings based on some of these ancient texts. So I started that. I noticed over the last week or so, because I've been doing this relatively consistently, I've been batching videos and putting things together, really focused on the Tao Te Ching. I actually have been falling asleep to it, listening to it on Audible here. And also I'm obviously doing these breakdowns here pretty regularly. I'm, again, batching anywhere from 2 to 8 videos at a time. So spending a lot of time thinking about the Tao, thinking about the book, thinking about what it means to me in my life. And so what I'm finding is that the more that I focus on the spirit, right, the Tao, the life, first of all, there's this inner sense of joy that's permeating all aspects of my world, which is awesome. It's making life not only bearable, but to the point where I'm able to thrive in life, which is great. But then in the last week, I'm noticing that the more I focus on the Tao, the true non-action, just allowing the flow of life to unfold, it's unfolding in more and more magical ways. Just like happy coincidences, things are just tending to work out. I'm not necessarily attached to outcomes, but then something will happen. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened, or how simple that was, or how in the flow that was. So I think what's happening is that I've focused my attention so much on this idea of non-action, just through, repetition of reading the Tao, listening to it, focusing on these breakdowns. And so what's happened is just I've immersed myself in it, and by extension have created this, or co-created this. I don't want to say I didn't create it. What I did was I focused myself so much on the flow of the Tao that the Tao is unfolding in a bigger and bigger way, or I'm noticing it more, maybe is what it is. And so it feels like, oh my gosh, just this joy, this peace, this abundance, is permeating all things. So it is so true. one line here goes, cleave to the Tao, the myriad things are transformed of their own accord. Like, I noticed too, like in interactions with people, if I'm holding that space for peace, and I've talked about this before, but if you hold that space for peace, or that present moment awareness, and you just let the moment unfold naturally, and you're not trying to force some outcome or trying to, prove something or be in this sense of ego, that the people tend to just like kind of enter the flow without even realizing it. And so then the interactions just unflow very, very naturally and very just in a really great way. We'll keep going here. But if they still crave action, I strengthen them with the nameless, with the universal block. So if they still crave action, right? So if the folk or the myriad things, through the presence of the Tao, right, still crave action, it actually strengthens them with the nameless, with the uncovered block, with no desire, with calm. So this is this sense of Tao. Then all under heaven settles of its own accord, which is true, so true. I had mentioned and I have plenty of examples of this, where sometimes my wife and I will walk into a restaurant or a winery, somewhere where there's maybe a lot, or a bar maybe, where there's a lot of kind of chaos happening. And we find that if we can hold our presence for long enough, you'll start to feel the entire atmosphere of the environment start to shift, kind of to this calm, clear kind of way of being. And this is another harken back to this idea of like the Taoist, the Taoist being like murky as mud, or murky, this murkiness, and then settles, right? And that's what it is. It's like when you're in the flow of the Tao and you can feel the chaos, but you hold the space of the peace, and it is like this muddy glass of water the dirt or whatever, or the mud inside will start to settle and the water will clear. That's exactly what happens when you hold space like that. Is the peace will start to pervade, and it will subdue the chaos of the moment. Yeah. So this has been and then we'll go dive a little bit deeper into the River Master's commentary. If the myriad things are still subject to desire, if they exhibit cunning and hypocrisy, the ruler must strengthen them in their aspirations, must buttress them by means of the Tao and the power. So basically, again, like I'm saying, using that strength of peace and wholeness and completeness and alignment to strengthen the folks, right? Then they will be freed of desire and will be utterly transformed through the clarity and calm. So it's funny, you can't really necessarily directly teach this. There's this basically this sense of acting or being this is the way to actually influence and impact the people around you, right? Through being yourself. That's why the Taoist philosophy really focuses on this self-cultivation and getting yourself to a point where you're very clear in your beingness, and then through extension that will help transform the environments and the people and the things around you. And then again, the more you focus on this, the more it's like things just kind of move in their own flow, and it's almost like this dance with the universe, which is absolutely like intoxicating when you get to that point where you're clear and you're not attached to outcomes. And don't get me wrong, I still have my moments. Like we had a big win yesterday at work, and it's not set in stone, but there's this, I felt the pull of the ego to pull in and say, well, look what I did. And as you all know, it's never about what you necessarily did. I think the only thing we really have control over is our attention and our time that we spend focused on things. That's what actually helps create the life that you want, or that you would desire. This is the Boundless Sovereign YouTube channel. Hopefully this has resonated with you, and if you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing to the channel, it helps us grow, so that way we can get this video out to more people. Again, the intent of the channel is to hold the mirror up so that you can better see yourself and you can become more aligned with who you really are, and then be that positive force for change out there in the world. That's it for Chapter 37. We will see you all in Chapter 38 of the Tao Te Ching.